How y'all doing today? How y'all doing today? As you come in, let me know where you're watching from, of course, so I can say hey to y'all, so I won't be rude and, just hop into the message like I do sometimes. But let me know where you're watching from as you come in. I can't wait to chat with you all. Yeah, I'm super excited to chat. I'm super excited to chat today. So, where y'all watching from? And can you like the video as you come in, as you hop on, please, because I am fighting this algorithm and my channel is being suppressed. Hey, how you doing? Rihanna, am I saying your name correctly? Hey, Rihanna, how you doing? Hey, from Washington State. Oh, that's next door, really. It is pretty much next door. As y'all come in, hold on. Let me do something really quickly. Let me move for a second. Let me know where you're watching from, though. Okay, I'm back. I didn't want my heat and my air conditioning unit to come on because it's so loud and it's so obnoxious. That's what it is. It's obnoxious. But I'm back. All right, y'all. Hey, look, I want to talk about a few reasons why people don't prosper. Because a lot of people are not prospering these days, and I really want everyone to know that when your ability to prosper is within your control, right? You get to control how far you go in life, or you can get to control if you go low in life, right? It's all within your control. And I know we've been conditioned to believe that it's not in our control, right? I know we've been conditioned to believe that all of the external factors will always happen to us, and it's just to suppress us. And while external factors do matter, they're not stronger than you. They're not more powerful than you. They don't even hold a candle to you, right? And so I want everyone to know that, because I don't want anyone to play it safe this year and live beneath their calling. I don't want people to go into next year, 2024, especially with the time we're in spiritually. It's really dangerous for us to not prosper, right? And so I'm going to be talking a lot more about prosperity and us prospering and our kingdom authority to do so, because I think that sometimes Christians are behind the curve, and I don't like that. Okay, I don't like that. So, hey, Erica from North Carolina. Hey, Classy K from Mississippi. Hey, Benita. Hey, y'all. Hey, if you have not liked this video, please like the video. All right, let's hop on in. Let us hop on in. Okay, who has goals to prosper? Drop me in the chat if you have goals to prosper this year. And it can be in whatever area of your life. It does not matter what area you want to prosper in, but let me know in the chat if you have goals to prosper this year. I have a lot of goals to prosper. My biggest goal, though, my biggest goal that I want to prosper in is not striving. And I've said this a lot in previous videos, that I have a tendency to strive. And when we came into 2023, I just did not want to strive anymore. I wanted to stride and be successful, but I did not want to strive, right? To grind myself into the ground, to do all the things that I used to do as a result of being impoverished, right? I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to, be stressed out anymore. I didn't want to be exhausted anymore. And so I had to get with God and say, hey, what am I doing wrong? Why am I always tired? Why am I always, exhausted? Why am I always like toiling? And, as I told y'all, he revealed to me, because you're striving. You are trying to do all of the things in your own strength. You're trying to hurry up and get stuff done, because you were raised in poverty and you're used to doing that. But that's not how you have to live anymore. And so this year, I am dedicated to unlearning all of those negative patterns, striding with God, and being as successful. And y'all, we are in the second month of my experiment for the year, I should say. And I've been relatively, successful. When I slipped back into striving, maybe last week, I slipped back in, like last weekend, and I was in the bed for 2 days, tired, in the bed for 2 days. And I got convicted. I ain't even gonna lie, but I have been in strive mode longer than I've been trying to unlearn it. And so I have to practice grace with myself. But also, when I notice that, hey, Brianna, you are literally off track, you need to get back on it. And so that is what I have done. So now I see a few people say, yeah, yep, I got goals. You got goals for the year. You want to prosper. Let's talk about it. I wanted to talk about 6 reasons why people don't prosper. And I really want you to listen to me and find out, are any of these preventing you from prospering? And if they have prevented you from prospering in the past and you don't want that to happen, I want you to go ahead and course correct, all right? So the first thing that I have for as the reason why people don't prosper is because of the thoughts. And that is a major issue, our thoughts. Sometimes I've noticed, I've talked to people and they're like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to do that. And I'm like, okay, so when are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? And they're like, I don't know. Well, if you want to do it, God is giving you a brilliant mind to think your way into anything and think your way out of it, right? And so what a lot of people do when they say, I don't know, and then don't revisit it or try to find out, they let themselves off the hook from actually doing the work, right? And so generally our mouths say one thing and then our actions say another. So therefore, if we don't do the things that we say we want to do, or the things that will like start to push us towards the goal that we have for ourselves, then we're actually a liar, right? We're lying to ourselves. We may be lying to God. We may be lying to our friends and family. You know, oh, I'm gonna get healthy this year. Oh, I'm gonna do this. But are you eating better? Did you decide to go to the gym 1 or 2 days a week or 3 days a week? However, like, what are your actions showing? Because sometimes our actions do tell on us, like more times than not even sometimes, all the time. Our actions tell on us. And so when people become, you know, when their actions and their thoughts don't align, you become unstable. You are double-minded, and you know there's a scripture about that. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And so you start to go back and forth. It's kind of like your life starts to stutter, right? It keeps repeating, right? But without going forward. And that's just it's not helpful. So if you have not checked your thoughts, y'all, I have to check my thoughts often. Don't let me get on here and y'all see me doing these videos and, you know, doing all the things that I do. I still have to defeat thoughts. I still have to cast down vain imaginations and every high thing that lifts itself above God. Like, as a matter of fact, my thoughts told me I was so exhausted today that I couldn't come on here and do this live. And my thoughts was telling me that for about 4 hours today. And I was laying in the bed and I was watching Grey's Anatomy, and I'm like, no, you told your site subscribers that you was going to do a live. So are you a liar? Are you going to start lying now? Or can you get up, do your makeup, put your wig on, you know, and come on YouTube? And as I got up, my thoughts were like, Brianna, no, you tired. Lay down. You have a speaking engagement tonight. Lay down. Don't even worry about it. It don't matter. But I'm like, I gave my word. And I said I was going to do this thing. And I'm not a liar. So as I got up and started doing my makeup, guess what happened? My body started responding. I stopped being so dang tired like I was before, right? So my thoughts were literally trying to defeat me, even though I said that I was going to do this thing, right? Something as small as that. Or, you know, you can come into the new year, right? I know a lot of people at the gym, or not at the gym, a lot of people got gym memberships this year and said, I am going to get healthy. I am going to go to the gym. I'm going to work out. I'm going to do all the things. And they get the membership and they have the mindset to do it. But somewhere, and it's a gym joke for the people who go to the gym regularly, by March, late February, March, all the New Year's resolution people going to be gone. Because their minds tricked them out of the results they really wanted. Their minds told them, oh, this is too hard. Oh, you aren't going to be able to do this thing. That's your own mind playing tricks on you. Your thoughts are defeating you and they're yours, right? And so when we want to prosper in whatever area in life, when we decide, initially we decide, our thoughts, our mind starts to say, nope, we don't want to feel that tension. Nope, you don't want to go through that. Nope. Prosperity, it's nice, but you doing just fine right here. Well, if you were doing just fine right here, you wouldn't have had the initial thought to change, right? It's not true, y'all. So 9 times out of 10, when I talk to people, or even when I'm thinking about myself, our thoughts are the things that defeat us. Our thoughts, those things that belong to you, or the things that don't belong to you that the enemy may be implanting in your mind or suggesting that you do, these are your thoughts. And you are defeated because you either decided to do something or not do something. The second thing that keeps people from prospering, and these are practical things, y'all, because it is the practical, it is the day-to-day that defeats us more times than not. So the second thing that I have that keeps people from prospering is the fear of the unknown. And I get that. Stepping out, whatever it is in the future, you've never seen it, you've never done that, you don't know who you have to become, you don't know what's waiting for you. And so the fear of the unknown keeps a lot of people in the same place, right? I remember when I was trying to get out of a relationship years ago. I was trying to get out of a relationship mentally, not physically, right? Because I was still dealing up with the guy, but I was trying to get out of it mentally. I was trying to think my way out of it. And I was like, well, if I stop talking to him, in my mind, right? I never said this publicly, but if I stop talking to him, who I'm going to talk to? Like we've been rocking for so long. What would life be like without this person? Right? Or even when I was trying to pay off my credit card debt, right? I had been in credit card debt for so long. And yes, I wanted to get out of it, but I didn't know if I was going to really be able to do it. I didn't know what was going to be required of me to do it. And my comfort zone thought said, Brianna, don't worry about it. Everybody's in debt. Says every broke person. My thought said, Brianna, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and charge it to your card even though you can't pay for it, right? Because this is what you know. I didn't know what it would feel like to not have consumer debt. I didn't know what it would feel like to build generational wealth, right? I didn't know. Even though I wanted those things, the fear of not knowing what that realm was like kind of played with me a little bit. But I had to get my thoughts together. I had to decide and say, Brianna, it doesn't matter if you don't know what's in store for you. You don't know what's in store for you tomorrow, and you're going to wake up tomorrow and do what you're supposed to do. You don't know what's in store for you at work, but you're going to get up and go to work, right? So fear of the unknown, we live in the realm of unknown more times than not. But it's just something about thinking, I think we trick ourselves into thinking, oh, I don't know what that's going to look like, so that means I can't do it. Well, that ties back into your thoughts. What do you really think about you? Because I too have been the person who would say one thing and mean another. I too would say, oh, I deserve this. And girl, my life would be like, no, you don't. Oh, I deserve this. And then my actions would be like, I don't deserve it because my actions are not aligning with my words. My actions don't align with my thoughts. And so when I hear people say, oh, I don't know if I can do that because I don't know, what the future will hold, I always ask people, what would the future hold for you if you stayed the same? You don't know. You don't know what that would mean if you don't change. You don't know what life would be like for you if you don't get out of debt. You don't know what your life would be like for you if you don't leave that bad relationship right now. You don't know. You can wake up 30 years later. Y'all, I know people who stayed in a relationship they shouldn't have stayed in for like 10 to 15 years and are still in the same place. And I'm like, y'all gonna get married or what y'all gonna do? And they're like, I don't know, we wanna get married. And I'm like, y'all been together 13 years. You got the same amount that you had then. Nothing. What do you mean you don't know? Right? And I believe that when they started dating 13 years prior, they didn't think they were going to still be in the same place. They didn't think the world was going to be in the place it's in right now. We don't know. We gamble every day. Every day you wake up, you gamble. Every day. You don't know. You can only decide to make the right decisions and pray that it'll all work out in your favor, and pray that your decisions are in alignment with God, which is why your relationship with him is important, right? But you don't know. You don't know what's waiting for you. So when people say like, I just don't know what the future will hold if I do this, I guess my counter question is, do you know what the future will hold if you don't do this? I would rather try now and see if it works out than not try and then get to a future date, and not be prepared, right? You're not prepared, and therefore you can't compete in the way that you need to compete. And now your life is in a cycle, it's cyclical. Now you're struggling with depression. Now you frustrated. Now you mad at God. Now you walking away from God. Now, you know what I'm saying, y'all? We don't know what the future holds for any of us. We won't know. We won't know. God would give us glimpses. If you are fortunate to be in a prophetic house or whatever, have a prophet next to you, your friend or whatever, and you can receive prophetic words, cool. But a lot of the prophetic words are conditional. A lot of them require us to do certain things. And sometimes they're predicated on other people. Now, there are the ones that's going to come to pass no matter what. But then there are a lot that just won't come to pass no matter what. Right? And so I never want anyone to not do what is required of them now because of the fear of the unknown. To not obey God now because I don't know how it's going to work out. You're not going to ever know how it's going to work out. Right? You're not going to know. I don't know. I'm going to be honest with y'all. 80% of the things that I do, I don't know if they're going to work out. That's 80%. I get an idea from God, or, I'm in my career. I know what I'm supposed to do and I do it. I don't know if it's going to work out. I don't know if the journals are going to accept the scholarly article that I spent 3 months working on that is required for my tenure case. I don't know. I don't have control over it. I can only do my part, right? I can only do what God tells me to do today in regards to my purpose. I can only do today. I don't know how it's all going to work out. I don't know how all the things going to come together. But I would never want to let the fear of the unknown to stagnate me in the present, and therefore I never reach that place. I never reach my destiny, right? The third thing that stops people from prospering is feelings of overwhelm. You feel overwhelmed. I get that. I know what it's like to feel overwhelmed, right? So many things need to change in our life, right? You feel like everything needs to change at one time. If you could just do this, if you could just do that, if you could do all the things, life would be different, right? You're overwhelmed. You're frustrated. You mad. You crying, spitting, and farting. You mad. But one thing that I always tell people, and even myself, right? And my dissertation chair told me this when I was in graduate school. And I want you to take this piece of advice with you. The only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. At the time I was struggling to write my dissertation, I was tired of it, y'all. If y'all have ever written a dissertation, you know that I think my dissertation was almost 300 pages. It's from the devil. It is from the devil. It is a major gatekeeping tool for PhD students, and it's a lot of work. Anyway, I was tired. I was exhausted. I needed to graduate. I wanted out. And my chair, and I went to talk to her, and I went to tell her, like, I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling all the things. And she said, Brianna, the only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time, which means you can only work towards it, right? You cannot tackle this big thing all at once. You have to go, you have to, like, say, for instance, I'm writing one chapter. Well, the first thing you need to do is figure out what the outline would be. Then you have to write the paragraphs, right? Then you have to find the source material. Then you have to write the conclusion. Like, you have to do one thing at a time. So just start somewhere. What's one thing you can focus on? What's one thing you can focus on to starting today, and you can focus on that one thing for a month? Say, for instance, you're trying to build a business and you're like, oh my God, I got to get an email list. Oh my God, I got to start being active on social media. Oh my God, I got to do all these things. Well, you don't have to do all these things right now. What is one thing that you can focus on for a month to be consistent at? For a month, right? And then after you get that thing, after you get the swing of it, after you get the hang of it, after you get in your groove, add the next thing, right? And that's going to require that you have systems and structures in your life. Are you able to add the next thing, or do you need to focus on one thing for 2 months? Even if it's only one thing for 2 months, y'all, if you do, you're getting 1% better every day, right? So if there's 365 days in a year and you get 1% better every day, you have gotten 365% better in a year. So if you do one thing for 1 month and focus on it, you're going to be 30% better. You're going to be 30% better. And that's a small win, but it's a very significant win, because now it's teaching you management and consistency. You're not going to reach any goal without proper systems and structures in place, whatever that may mean for you, and consistency. You have to be consistent. You have to show up even when you don't feel like showing up. I don't feel like showing up a lot of times. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. A lot of the stuff I do, I don't feel like showing up. I didn't feel like going to the gym at 6 o'clock this morning. Didn't feel like it. Didn't feel like it at all. I didn't feel like, what else I didn't feel like doing? I didn't feel like studying out the message for my speaking engagement. I didn't feel like grading or giving feedback to my student for a thesis project. I didn't feel like making lunch. I don't feel like doing a lot of stuff, but it doesn't matter, because my feelings, I never want my feelings to make a fool out of me. If I don't give this student feedback, my job's in jeopardy. If I don't go to the gym, I'm not going to be looking like a snack. I'm going to be looking like I ate the snacks. And then in the future, I may be overweight and unhealthy. And then, God can't use me in the way that he wants to use me, because I don't have enough stamina. I don't have enough energy. I'm not healthy enough to go overseas or do whatever it is that's required of me to do, because I decided to listen to my feelings and just binge eat all the time, big bags of chips. You know what I'm saying, y'all? My feelings, if you let your feelings run amok in your life, they will always make a fool out of you, no matter what. They will. They will. That's why, they're unstable. Your feelings are unstable, that, you can feel one way in 5 minutes and then feel another way 10 minutes later. They're unstable. You have to decide. What have you decided to do? Have you decided to prosper? Have you decided, okay, now that you've decided to prosper this year, what's the first step you're going to take? And what does that look like for you? And sustain that first step for 1 month. After you get the hang of it and you feel like now you've built out capacity, right, within yourself, now you can go on and add something else. What's the next thing you need to do? Don't try to do 11 things. Don't try to do that, because you're a guaranteed failure. You need to build out the capacity within yourself to sustain the things that you're trying to do. Okay? Yeah. All right. So start somewhere. That's number 3. Number 4, your community. That's a big one. Your community could be the reason why you're not prospering. I'm just going to go and say that. You know the saying, birds of a feather flock together, or you're the sum total of the however many people you hang around. Those things are true. The people you hang around influence you in more ways than you know. And it may not seem like they're influencing you directly, but they are. They may not be telling you to do anything bad, but if they're doing something that's contrary to what you may do, then you may end up finding yourself doing the things that they did. Whatever you're around influences you. Your environment all the time is influencing you to either go up or revert. You're either going to progress or you're going to stay the same. The people you hang around have a big part to play in that. When I was hanging around, when I was trying to fit in, and this was high school, this was also early college, when I was trying to fit in with the cool kids, y'all, I'm not cool. I've never been cool. That's just not, that just never have been who I was, right? Anyway, when I was trying to hang out with the cool kids, y'all, I used to get in trouble. Let me just say that. I used to get in trouble a lot because the cool kids, their families, let them do certain things that my mother did not allow me to do, right? And as a result, I was like, man, they people let them do it. They're cool. I need to do what they do, and I need to do all this other stuff. And I got in trouble. I was getting in trouble at home. I was tying myself up with people who I didn't need to be tied up with. Y'all, I was impressionable. I was very impressionable. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be wanted. I was hanging around with the people who had the juice, or so I thought. And those people continued to do what they did. And right now, went off to college, all the things, and they still doing that. They still doing what they was doing in high school. They still the same people who they were. I'm not, because I went away to school. I got around a different community of people. I remember when I went to school, it was the first time when I went to college, I went to school in the South. It was the first time that I had spent a significant amount of time in the South. And it was the first time, like, people was going to church every Sunday. Like, I was in the Bible Belt. So even though they was still living however they was living, they was going to church without their parents say so, without them forcing them, every Sunday. And that kind of lit a curiosity in me, like, well, maybe I need to start going to church. You know what I'm saying? Because the environment that I was around, they were going to church. So naturally, I became curious and like, oh, maybe I need to be doing this, right? The same is true if you have friends who are negative, if you have friends who, whatever they are, what your circle matters. You know who you hang around. You know who you talk to. You know who you confide in. If they're influencing you or encouraging you to live less than who God created you to be, I wonder if they're your friends. I have a question about that. My friends have the permission to cut me. And by cut me, I'm not meaning physical cut me, but I mean, if I'm tripping, they got the permission to say, Bree, you tripping. Or you starting to live beneath who you were created to be. Or we do not agree with what you're doing. My friends have the right to do that because I want my friends to be committed to my destiny. Not just committed to making me feel good, not just committed to placating me or, not saying anything to me because it might hurt my feelings. No, if my feelings need to be hurt my feelings. If I'm threatening to derail my future, pull my coattails. Talk to me. Call me out. Please. Because faithful are the wounds of a friend. I want to progress. I want to be a millionaire one day soon. So I can't be retail therapying it out. I have to keep no spend Mondays, right? And if you don't know what that is, when I was trying to get out of consumer debt, I implemented this thing called No Spend Monday, which meant that I didn't spend on Mondays, right? And if I did have to spend on Monday, like if there was an emergency, then I had to choose another day of the week to not spend. All right. Now that I'm aggressively building generational wealth, I'm doing 2 to 3 days a week. Today is my second day where I have not spent any money. I don't need to. I want to. but I don't need to. But if my community's saying, Bree, you ain't got to do Don't Spend Monday, you ain't got to do save money, you don't have to think about the future, let's go out and live it up, YOLO. I probably don't need to be hanging with you, because my goal and my assignment requires that I am financially stable, that I am financially smart and secure, that I am a good steward. If my community is saying, no, you just come on, pop bottles in a club, first of all, I be asleep before the club even open up. That's number one. But two, they already know Brianna's not gonna do it. Don't ever, if you come to me talking about a club, you must don't know me, and we need to reevaluate our friendship, because I don't find that fun. And I go to bed at like 8:30 at night. You know what I'm saying? So my community keeps me accountable. I don't surround myself with people whose values don't align. Now, this doesn't mean that we do all the same things. No. But if on a basic level, if our values are not aligning, I ain't got nothing for you, because it's easier to pull somebody off a chair than it is to pull somebody up on a chair, right? Y'all, something going on with this eyelash. That's why I'm fidgeting with it. I'm finna snatch it off on this live. But if, what was I saying? Yeah, okay. So if I am around you and you are not doing, or you don't align with me, and we're hanging and we tight, and I'm like, oh, they ain't gonna influence me. Oh no, it's gonna be great. We can still be friends. We can do all these things. Eventually, I'm gonna start to teeter over, to toe the line. I know myself. I've done it in the past. That's why I'm very careful on who I link up with. That's why I'm very careful about who I let in my circle. That's why I'm very careful about who I may date and talk to and confide in. Like, I know me. Y'all, sorry. This eyelash, I don't even know what's happening. Let me hurry up. All right, number 5. Number 5. So your number 4 was your community matters. Number 5, the 5th reason why people don't prosper is because they haven't taken ownership of their lives. They haven't taken ownership of their lives. And you're probably like, Brianna, what you mean? I know it's my life. It's my life. I live it every day. Yeah. But are you blaming someone for the reason why you're in the situation you're in? Are you still blaming them? Are you still blaming the way you were brought up for the reason why you're where you at? And the way you brought up may be a factor, but it does not have to be the factor. It can be a factor that you have to work through, but it doesn't have to be the factor. So as long as we refuse to take ownership of our lives, as long as we start to continue to play the blame game, we continue to give other people the power. We never take the power into our own hands and say, this is my life. Yes, this thing happened to me. Yes, this was my experience, but it does not have to define anything. It does not have to define me, right? And so when you don't take ownership, it's just like the man at the pool of Bethesda, right? And Jesus, when he comes to him, right? You know, this man had been lame some 30 plus years, and he didn't get healed. And so when Jesus comes to him, he's laying at the pool, and Jesus is like, do you want to be well? Will you be made whole? And the man's like, yeah, I want to be, but I don't have nobody to put me in the pool. And every time the angel come and trouble the water, somebody else get in before me. You know, he starts giving him the laundry list of the reasons why he's not healed. And Jesus does not give him anything else but a word. Pick up your bed and walk, meaning take ownership of your life and your situation and get out of it. Jesus didn't do nothing else for him but told him, hey, the onus is on you. Pick up your bed and walk, right? Yes, I heard all of the stuff you just said to me, man, at the pool of Bethesda. I heard all of the reasons why, and those are reasons. But the truth is, you have the power to change it if you decide to take ownership and say, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. Yeah, it may be hard. Yeah, all the other reasons you got that are trying to stop you. But when you take ownership of your life, you're like, yeah, all has happened, right? So for me, how that looked in my life was, y'all know, I was raised in a single parent home, and which mattered. I'm from the hood. I'm from the inner city of Chicago, right? And yeah, that impacted me. I'm the oldest of 5 children on my mom's side. That meant that I had to grow up really quick. That meant that I had to be the second parent. And y'all heard my mom's story if you watched our live last month. And I'm like, that did impact you, Bree. That impacted you. So now you got to go to therapy. Now you got to talk about it. Because you had an absent father and your mama worked all the time and you had to grow up quick. You're going to have to work through that emotional stuff that you didn't get a chance to work through. That happened to me. But I had to make a decision. Are you going to allow what happened to you that you had no control over to dictate what you have control over right now? Or are you going to say, okay, that was my experience. There was nothing I can do about that. I don't want it to impact how I move in society from now on. Let me go to therapy. Let me take ownership of my pain, of my trauma, of whatever it is. Let me go to therapy. Because blaming my parents will not help me, right? Apology won't help. I have to go work through the things that happen. That's me taking ownership of it. Blaming them doesn't help. It doesn't help our relationship and it won't help me, right? Because you know what I'm saying? So I have to pay the money to get a therapist. I have to spend the emotional, the spiritual time with God to, help regulate whatever imbalances happen as a result of my childhood experiences and even growing up, in the hood. I have to do the work. And it's hard work, but it's my life. And I want to succeed. And no one's going to do the work for me. So I got to suck it up, buttercup. And I have to go out there and say, all right, this is what we're going to do. You don't get another life. You don't get another life. You only get one. So how long, Brianna, are you going to lay at the pool of Bethesda? How long are you going to lay there? How long? How long? Right? These are the conversations that I have to have with myself a lot, right? So that's the 5th reason. It's easier to blame other people. It's easier to blame systemic problems. And I'm not saying that that's not a thing. I'm an educator. I know all about systemic racism and all the things. I can list them for you, right? But Christ took that into account too. And he's said, I died for you to have an abundant life. Yeah, all of these things gonna happen. And yeah, you may experience them. But at the end of the day, if you choose, you can have the abundant life that I died for you to have. It's up to you. It's your choice. Now, if you don't want it, I'm not gonna force it. Right? If you don't want the abundance, God ain't gonna force it on you. But if you want it, it's available to you. That's taking ownership, y'all. And it may not happen overnight. Things that last rarely happen overnight. But if you work the plan and if you stay with it, you will be 365% better at the end of the year. Period. You know what I'm saying? All right. And so the last reason that people don't prosper is that they really don't believe God. That's a hard one. I remember, let me tell y'all, I'm going to use myself as an example. I remember I went through a situation a few years ago and I was shocked. I was shocked that I was struggling, right? Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all the things. I was really shocked. And it was in the storm, it was in the struggle where God asked me, do I trust him? Right? And I was like, yeah, I trust you. But he was like, no, you don't. You don't trust me because you worry every day. You don't trust me because you keep, doing all the things that you're doing right now. You really don't trust me. And it was at that point, y'all know the scripture when that man says, Lord, I believe, but help my unbelief. I think it's in the New Testament where Jesus was, he was asking him to heal his son, I think. But there is a man who says, I believe, but help my unbelief. And I had to be honest to say, God, I really don't believe you in this area because I've never seen you come through for anybody in my family like that in that area. I don't have a point of reference, right? I've seen it happen in these people's lives, right? I've heard people testify, but I don't have a reference that hits home for me. I've never seen you do it in my family. So while my mouth can say, yeah, I believe you, my heart doesn't believe you because it hasn't happened for anyone in my family. My heart doesn't believe you, right? And that was a hard thing, y'all, because I wasn't new to the faith at that point. Me and God had a few years. We had been in it a few years. I've been serving him. I've been, doing all the things. But my heart didn't believe that area because I'd never seen it done. And subconsciously, I felt like, well, I'm in this lineage. If it's never happened in this lineage, I guess it won't happen because I guess I'm just doomed for it not to happen for me either. And when he asked me that question, I had to admit, like, no, I don't trust you. I don't. Because I've never seen it done. I've never seen you do it. I don't have a point of reference for this, right? I don't know, just like saying this, that God is a healer. How do you know that God is a healer if you've never been sick? This is what people have told you. But do you believe that? Have you seen him heal you? God is a redeemer. Have you seen him redeem the time? Yes, these are characteristics. Yes, he is all these things. But is he these things to you? Do you have that point of reference? Right? And I don't think it's wrong to say, no, I don't have that point of reference. I want to believe it, right? Because that's honest Christianity, right? That ain't run around and touch your neighbor and run around the church. That's honest. That's truth. And those who worship him must worship him what? In spirit and in truth. That's truth. I don't have a point of reference for this. I don't know if I believe it. I've never seen it. And he's like, let's work on it. Let's work on that. Let's work on that heart. Let's work on that part, right? And it's a daily, we still working on it. Years later, we still working on it, right? Still working on it. So when I talk about me slipping into striving, that's me still working on it with him. Poverty, I've lived in poverty majority of my life. And now I'm like a lot out of it. But it's like, God, I don't know if you're going to do your part, so let me work. He's like, nah. Or he's like, all right, Brianna, work yourself into the ground. Because I told you don't do my part. You're only responsible for your part. Right? And then I'm working and exhausted as a result. And now I'm crying, spitting, and farting. And he's like, that's poverty. That's that poverty. It ain't gone. It's not gone. It's still there. Let's work on it. Let's work out of it. Because you can't know that I'm a provider if you won't let me provide. And I'm like, well, let's just be honest here. My dad wasn't around. So now you're talking about you're my father. When I hear father, that's, So now you're saying you're my father and you want me to believe you, but you know my point of reference, right? That's the work. That's the work that I still have to do. That's the work we doing, y'all. That's the work we doing. Every day, God's like, I'm your father. I have to keep reminding you that I am your father. And he does. He does have to keep reminding me that he's my father because I've grown up without one. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know. I don't know what that means. So when he's like, let me provide for you, I'm like, huh? What does that look like? What does that mean? Brianna's had to make things happen. That's how she was raised. And he's like, no, you don't make things happen. I make things happen for you. And I'm like, huh? What does that mean? Can I trust you? Are you going to come through? Or are you going to, let me down? How's it going to go? And we have to go through this cycle, right? Because I had to be honest and say, I really don't believe you there. I believe you in all these other ways, right? Because I've seen you. I have these points of reference. When we start getting over here, I ain't got it. I ain't got it. And the hardest places that I've had to try to break out of, those are the hardest places of me prospering in, right? The places where I struggle to believe God in are the hardest places of my struggle, right? So let's just recap. Wait, let me go back. Crystal says, I'm in therapy. Therapy is a gift to yourself. It is so important to learn why you do what you do. It's so important. It is so important, y'all. When I tell you, before I got in therapy, I wasn't even aware of certain things. So let me tell y'all something. Okay. So when I first got in therapy, I got in therapy in 2020 for the first time. What drove me to therapy was a traumatic experience. This is right before the world shut down for the pandemic, and I was dating this dude. I am someone who believes that we should be upstanding citizens. I am someone who believes that we should honor God with our bodies. I'm someone who believes in abstinence. I'm someone who, you know what I'm saying? I believe in these things. And so when I go into a dating relationship, I always give people the heads up, early, hey, this is my walk. I know it's not for everybody, but I want to give you an opportunity to choose if you want to date me or not, right? I don't want to force that on you, right? So when we go into the situation, the dating situation, I tell the dude this and he's like, yeah, I'm down for it. He wasn't down for it. I'm down for it. I've always wanted to try it, all the things, right? And I'm like, all right, well, let's go ahead and try it out, whatever. Girl, I don't know who watching. Y'all, when was this? This was 3 months into us dating, 90 days into us dating. Y'all, this man start talking back to somebody he had a situationship with. And at the time, I didn't know. I had no idea. We had conversations about keeping in touch with your little flings. No, there's no reason why y'all still in touch if you're with someone else. Anyway, so that happens. And then he ends up sleeping with this girl. Okay. So let me tell y'all how I found out. Look, y'all finna get all the tea. So I am in Vegas and we're dating long distance. Now, the way he found out, I found out was nobody but God. Y'all, why the person that he had a situationship with end up being my cousin's best friend on my daddy's side? There's no way. So the girl he had relations with ends up being the best friend of my cousin on my daddy's side. She knew my whole daddy side of the family. I mean, the whole white side, right? There was no way I was going to find out because we are long distance. I'm in Vegas. I don't, you know what I'm saying? So let me tell you. So the girl knew who I was. You know how women are. You see something, you used to date this dude, and you still checking up on him, checking his Instagram. Apparently, we may have posted, I may have commented on a photo of his or whatever because we weren't public at the time. And, well, we still weren't public. We weren't never public. Anyway, I commented on a picture, and apparently, you know how you just click somebody's picture to see where they live. And so anyway, so she's following the trail for a long time, few months. She's following the trail. I may post something, then he may post something in the same location, but we never tag each other, none of that stuff. So she know, you know how we do our Inspector Gadget stuff. So she know we dating. So anyway, we start having, you know, some difficulty with one another, and the relationship gets tense. The honeymoon phase is over. We in the swing of it. We doing the work at this point. Our true selves are surfacing, right? And he leads the girl to believe that we were no longer together. Okay, we were together though. But he leads her to believe that we were no longer together. We were so together that I was spending holidays with his family. He was spending holiday with my family. Me and his mama had like click tight relationships because the parents loved me. And you know, we're intertwining into the families at this point. He's steering the relationship. All right. So we hit a rough moment. We're having some difficulty, which I didn't think was unusual. And he starts talking back to the girl, right? So after he starts talking back to this girl, right? He leads her to believe we're not together. So I want to say this is probably a month before the world shuts down in 2020. Him and the girl have relations. And I know about it for like 2 weeks. No, let me not say that, because I think the night they had relations, I had a dream it happened. But I was like, Bree, you know, you just tripping. This is just y'all having problems. Don't worry about this. Like, I ain't even bring it up. I'm like, this you tripping. It wasn't me, y'all. It was the Holy Ghost telling me this man just cheated on you. All right. So we, so they do the thing. They do the do. After they do the do, it gets kind of fuzzy because it's two sides to the story. So I don't know who to believe. It don't even matter who to believe at this point. I believe somehow the girl gets his phone. The girl gets his phone and sees my photo as the screensaver. At this point, he still don't know that she knows who I am, that she knows my cousin, that she is, you know, clicked up with my daddy's side of the family. He don't know none of this. He just think that this is somebody he messed with in the past. He cheated on his girlfriend, not knowing that his world is about to blow up. Okay? So, is this story good to y'all? I can laugh about it now and joke about it now, but when it was happening, I was livid. Anyway, so this is what happened. So she gets his phone and she sees me on the screensaver, from what I understand. And she mad because they just had relations. So why am I still seeing this girl who you said y'all wasn't together no more still on your screensaver? That's what I'm thinking she's saying. So he like, I don't know what he said. But at that point, she dropped the bombshell. Like, and I know who she is because I know her family. And she did. She knew the White Sides. And she knew who I was. I know her, but she knew me. Okay? So now she got this man like by the, you know, she got him all wrapped up. Now he's sweating. He crying, spitting, and farting because he don't know what's about to happen. How in the world does this random girl or this girl that I talked to before, how does she know? How does she know my girlfriend? How does she know her family? How does she know? Nobody but God. Because I told you shouldn't be entertaining them anyway. Anyway, okay. So, she mad. Now, y'all know how we get when we mad. She mad. I'm going to tell her, you ain't blah, 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 blah. You know how we get. We mad. We up here cussing up a storm. All the things, right? All the things. And for 2 weeks, she held it over his head. For 2 weeks. She blackmailed him. They're going back and forth. And for those 2 weeks, it was bad between us. Like, it was horrible. Like, he wasn't showing up. He wasn't answering the phone, you know. And by showing up, I mean, like, being present when we're conversing, we're getting into it. It's just bad business. It's bad business, right? So apparently one night, he doesn't do what she wants him to do. And she says, I'm going to tell her. I'm going to tell her. And he I guess he said tell her because he was tired of being, you know, blackmailed and all the stuff. So he says, tell her. So I guess maybe she didn't think he was going to tell me. She was going to tell me. So she told my cousin. And naturally, my cousin is going to tell me, right? She tells my cousin. My cousin hit me up out the blue. Hey, Bree, let me talk. I need to talk to you about your boyfriend. And I'm like, what boyfriend? Because in my mind, you should know I got a boyfriend because we're not public. Only like a small amount of people know that we are in a relationship. So you, ma'am, should not know that I have a boyfriend. Okay? So she says his name. And I said, oh, you do know. You do know that I have a boyfriend. Okay. But so she's like, she told me, she called me. I said, let me call you when I leave the office. I hit her up. And she's like, yeah, you know, my best friend has been messing with him. And they apparently had relations. And, you know, she came to tell me, blah, 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 blah. And so my conversation to my cousin is, I said, ask her, can I call her? Like, I'm calm. I'm not the type of person to confront the woman. That ain't my thing. I'm never going to confront you because, yeah, you may be wrong, but at the end of the day, I didn't get in a relationship with you. I got in a relationship with him. All right. So my beef is with him always, 100%. You may still be wrong, though, but I'm never going to, you know, as a woman to woman type situation. That ain't my vibe. I wanted her side of the story. So I said, ask her, can I call her? No, first I said, before I said, ask her, can I call her? I said, well, I can't bring this information to him without receipts. So I need evidence. I need proof. Because I'm a researcher. I go with the facts. Give me the citations. You know, I need proof. Y'all, so she starts forwarding text threads. Of course, the girl, so she started forwarding text threads and Instagram messages. But you know, on Instagram, you can delete what you say. And it just shows what the other person said. So she deleted a whole bunch of stuff. But, you know, the Holy Spirit will let you know what was said. Okay? So she sent me threads. She sent me photos of them together, girl. Y'all, they was hanging. They was macking, hanging. Y'all saw the wood. Macking, hanging, like they weren't rocking, right? And I'm out here in Vegas, like when I'm seeing the messages, I'm like, this can't be a thing. This cannot be true. This can't be my life. Of course this ain't my life. I know he didn't have the audacity to sleep with another woman on me. Not the audacity, but he did have the audacity. So, I say, hey, ask her, can I call her? And my cousin says, she says, yeah, she sends me the number. I said, all right, I'm gonna call her when I get home. In the meantime, as I'm driving home, he and I are texting, right? And we ain't texting about that yet, but we just texting regularly. And then all of a sudden I said, who is such and such, and what do you have to tell me about her? Like, that's it in the text, like, period. Who is such and such, and what do you have to tell me about her, right? And I can imagine in my mind that his world stopped at that point because I knew her name. I can imagine that, you know, that white noise just in his mind. Because now you call. Because now I know a name. And I just said, who is this person? What you have to tell me about her? So his response was, let me explain. Before he could explain, y'all, I just start forwarding him the thread, the text messages that the girl sent. I start forwarding. Before you lie and insult my intelligence, which I don't want you to do, I'm going to show you the evidence that I have. because it's already over for you. There's nothing you can say to me. It's over for you, right? So this man is shooketh. This man, I said, yeah, give me a call. Give me a call later. He didn't call. So in the meantime, I called a girl. Y'all, and I said, hey, this is Brianna. I'm sure you know. I hate that we have to meet under these circumstances, but, I would just like to know from this time period up until today, I just want to know what happened. Did you know he had a girlfriend? What did he lead you to believe? How many times had y'all had relations, right? And she told me, and listening to this girl, I really felt sorry for her because it was clear that she really, really liked him. She really did like him. She really liked him. She liked him in a way that I didn't, right? Which, yeah, I didn't like him in the way she liked him. I liked him. He was cool. He was nice. We were figuring it out, but I didn't like, he wasn't my sun and moon and stars like he was for her. And she was telling me the story and very apologetic, said she didn't really know like that or whatever, or at some point she did find out and know. She was lying, a lot of it to kind of, make herself look good. And I was just like, girl, you ain't got a lot of kick it. I ain't worried about it. It's over for him. You can have this man. It's all good. So I find out he's still lying. She probably lying. It don't matter. The fact is, you did what you did, right? So when I said, okay, why'd you do it? Like, tell me what it was that drove you here. Like, give me context of, what it was. And he just said, because she was putting out and you weren't. And I said, but you knew. You knew that we had a conversation before we got together that this was my goal. And I gave you the choice to choose if you wanted to do this or not. And he said, yeah. And I said, but then you made a different decision, because you made an informed decision to date me, but then you made a different decision. And he said, yeah. And I said, all right, well, that's fine. That's cool. That's dandy. All good. I'm not a woman who can be cheated on. And I'm not. The Brianna who, before she did her identity work, pre-save Brianna who was in toxic relationships, yeah, you cheat on me, I cheat on you, we in a cycle. The Brianna who did her work, I'm just gonna have to forget your mama had you. So that situation. So when I found out, when I got off the phone, then the world shuts down. So now I'm dealing with that trauma, right? That experience, trying to figure out like, all right, Bree, where you go from here? Cause you need to figure out what's happening. Cause you just don't move over that situation, right? So then the world shuts down. So now we on lockdown. I live alone. I was living alone. So we on lockdown. So now I'm confined to the crib. We on lockdown. I'm dealing with emotional trauma. Now we scared to go outside, all the things, right? And I said, in my mind, I said, when we finished talking, he told me, I said, in my mind, I said, I'm going to get you back. And I knew I was in trouble. When it crossed my mind that I'm going to get him back, I want to get him back, even though that was a human response, I knew I was in trouble for me. So I said, you got two options here. You going to either create more victims, you going to go out on a whole rampage, get in the hotation, or you going to go get some help. I'm sorry y'all for saying hoe if that's too raw for y'all. But either you finna be out here in the streets, or you're and do a lot of damage to yourself and to other people because you're emotionally unavailable and now you're just trying to, do your Mary Jane type stuff. Or you're going to go to therapy and get help for the first time in your life. And y'all, I went to therapy. I made the conscious decision to go to therapy. And I was so locked in. Like I was locked down. I was hurt. I was frustrated. I was embarrassed. And then the world didn't shut down. And now we dealing with all the unknown factors, and it was just a lot happening. Like I was struggling like the rest of the folks was. And but it just so happened that I was cheated on right before we went into lockdown. And I went into therapy. And I remember those first few months, I was like, I don't think I could do this. Like, cause I had never been to a therapist. I had never actually stayed, talked about my feelings with a professional. I still was trying to work through some of that stigma of therapy. Uh, Crystal, it's true. Crystal, I was gonna have a hotation. I'm sorry. I was finna have a hotation in the words of Issa Rae. I was. And me. I was going to the streets. I ain't even gonna hold you. I just needed one reason to go to the streets, and that was gonna be my reason. But I ain't do my hotation, y'all. Anyway, I had never like really talked about my feelings and anything like that. And so I was really locked down, and my therapist, I had a black man therapist, right, y'all? I had a black man therapist, and I was just cheated on by a black man. It was a whole lot happening right there. But it worked out. I'm really grateful that I had him. Now I have a black woman therapist, but I'm really grateful that I had him as my experience, my therapist, because he helped me think through some things that I probably wouldn't have naturally thought through with the woman. And so I remember him asking me in therapy, because we started to talk about like dating and stuff, and it took me a little bit to date again. And he was like, so on your first date, do you think that you would be able to tell someone what you want? Like, would you be able to say, hey, this is what I'm looking for, this is who I am, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, absolutely not. And he's like, what you mean not? I said, no, I would never. I don't think I would be able to be honest and tell someone what I want and what I'm looking for on a first date. Because I've had experiences where people leave after they hear my true desire, which I don't think are unreasonable desires. Just folks just used to saying, oh, I'm going with the flow. I ain't looking for nothing serious. So when I'm like, yeah, I'm looking for something serious. Yeah, I don't want to waste my time. You know what I'm saying? They be like, I'm not your guy. Anyway, I remember him asking me that. But months later, after I had done my work and continue to do my identity work and emotional work and all the things, I was like, absolutely. I'm going to go into a date and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I desire. You have a choice to make, basically. Not in that, not like that. But yeah, I said, yeah, I'll be comfortable vocalizing my desires and my wants and all those things. And it has worked out for me ever since then. But that's what threw me into labor. So I know Crystal comment got me to tell y'all that story about what threw me into therapy. And I've stayed ever since. Like, I got a black woman now, and we're working through daddy issues, which are so important for me to work through. I like it. I enjoy it. I don't know how I've gone how I went long without it. This is like what, 3 years in, and I'm so much better. So I believe in Jesus and therapy. All right, let me go back to the comments. Alexa says, honesty with God produces intimacy. There's no other way to know the Father deeply and personally. I totally agree. I totally agree. And I didn't even know I wasn't on. I didn't even know I didn't trust him. Going back to, before I told y'all the story of me getting cheated on. I didn't even know I didn't trust him until he asked that question and made me face the fact, like, no, you don't trust me here. Like, he knew I didn't trust him. I didn't know that I didn't trust him. I'm glad you delivered, yeah. Ooh, child, I'm glad I delivered too. Starbucks is beautiful. Starbucks Beautiful says, most people conform. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And it's so easy to conform. It's very difficult. Oh, she says most people conform to what they think you want or what they're looking for. Agreed. LaKendra says, so how did you determine the best therapist for you? Okay, so I went in and asked for a person of color, right? The person who first did my intake was a woman of color, but when I don't know, she just said that she didn't think that we would be a great fit based on certain models that she used, and so she suggested that I get that male model. Male model, that I get the male therapist. And then I had my consultation with him, and we, it was cool. It was great. But towards the end of our sessions, or before he left the agency, we had become so common with one another. Like, I don't even think he was really helping anymore. I think it became like this relationship, like you just showing up, y'all cool, kiki, and whatever. But I didn't feel like we were doing any work anymore. So it just so happened that as a result, I was like, dang, I'm gonna have to get a new therapist, because we're not doing no work. Like we up here talking about stocks and stuff, and I'm not paying to talk about stocks with you. I'm up here paying for you to help me get some tools to work through this trauma. So it just so happened that he ended up quitting the agency. And so when I asked, for when I got a new therapist, I just asked for a Black woman, and she's been good. She's been good. She has been good. She's been very helpful. Her techniques, of course, are different because her worldviews are different. Her gender matters. And so it is trial and error. Look, Kendra, I don't want to act like it's just smooth sailing. It is trial and error. And you would just have to meet with the person and have a session with them to kind of see, to see if they're a good fit for you. Crystal says, I'm so happy that you are continuing the work. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna ever stop the work. The work never ends, right? When I finally have children, I'm gonna need therapy to talk through that, because I have been a professional student and career woman my entire life. So that's gonna be a major shift. When I get married, I should have said married first, but when I get married, I'm gonna need to go to therapy, because that's a major life shift. You know what I'm saying? So the work never stops. I'm just gonna have to start working on other areas, right? And because I'm committed to health, and this is not, just physical health, I'm committed to spiritual health, mental health. If I have it my way, I'm gonna be in therapy forever. Until I die, I'm gonna be up in therapy. Let me get my therapist, Jesus in therapy, Lord. Because I need somebody to talk to that's unbiased. I need someone who has the tools. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm clear. I am clear. Talea, I hope I said your name correctly, says, so glad I caught this live. I'm glad you're here, girl, too. You just missed me spilling some tea about me getting cheated on a few years ago, which sent me to therapy. So if you're interested, or if you missed the tea, rewind this. Replay this, because it's good. It is good. But y'all know, let's go back to that cheating experience. Y'all know he decided, and I felt that was so disrespectful to that girl, even though she had her part in it. He was just like, yeah, I don't want to, I'm not interested in being with her. And I'm like, so you just used her? You low down for that. You just used her. Now you don't want to date her no more. For what? Like, And so, I don't know what he's doing now, but I just had to say that, like, that was wrong. Like, yeah, what you did to me was wrong, but now you've just wronged another woman too, and that was wrong. I don't stand for that. She was good enough for you to have relations with, but now you don't want to be with her. I don't like it. I don't recommend. But yeah, y'all. So let me go back and recap. Let me go back and recap the 6 reasons why people don't prosper. Number 1, thoughts about themselves, right? And that is, you may not necessarily really believe that you have the juice, you have what it takes to succeed, you have what it takes to prosper, even though your mouth may say it, your heart may not, believe it. And then therefore you're double-minded. Number 2 is fear of the unknown. You don't know what's ahead of you, but you should also fear staying the same, because if you stay the same and the world is constantly changing, you may find yourself not being able to compete in the global economy in a way that you would have had you changed, had you progressed, had you done the work right now. Number 3, people feel overwhelmed, not knowing where to start. And my suggestion was pick one thing. The only way to, eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So you want to pick one thing that you can do and focus on that one thing for a month straight. And then once you build out that capacity within yourself, I want you to add on to it. After that month though, if you add on and you feel like, okay, I'm overwhelmed, scale it back a little bit. Maybe you need 2 months focusing on one thing, right? But you need to start somewhere. Number 4, your community. Your community matters. It's easier to pull somebody off a chair than put them back on a chair. So the people you are hanging around, thank you, Crystal, for putting these up there. The people that you hang around matter, okay? They influence you, whether you know they're influencing you or not. Number 5 is you won't take ownership of yourself. You won't take ownership of your life. You won't take ownership of your life. So you're still blaming your parents. You're still blaming, the world. You're still blaming everybody. And while those things may have impacted the way that you were brought up or the way you may see the world, they don't have to continue to impact those things. And as long as you continue to blame other people, you give them the power. And so therefore you don't have the power anymore, right? You don't have the power to change. And you believe you don't have the power to change. So therefore, then you're going to start waiting for people to, give you permission to change. No, you got to take your life into your own hands. And number 5 is they don't really believe God. You don't really believe God. Talia says, do you have some encouragement for those experiencing life changes in friendships? Ooh, girl, yes, I do. Let me get some of this water. Talia, how old are you? If you don't mind me asking, because my response matters. How old are you? Your age matters to my response. I'm sorry. Tell me how old you are. I remember, while I'm waiting for her response, I remember when 28. Oh, perfect. Because my experiences are in that. Yeah, perfect. Okay. My spirit is 50. All right, y'all, listen. When you are following God and your community is not, you have to accept the fact that y'all may not be as close no more. It's hard. When you start following God, taking God seriously, doing the stuff that he tells you to do, trying to get your life together, and your friends are not, and y'all, as a group, y'all had not been trying to do that. But now you've had your come to Jesus moment, you're the one who changed. So you have to be okay with not kikiing with them all the time anymore, or life shifting you in a different direction and isolating you. That's hard. When I started following God seriously, I was about 27, 28. And my friends who were not on the same path as me was like, it really don't take all that, Brianna. You change, you acting shady, this used to be cool. Now you acting like you all, like they used to do all this stuff. And I get it, right? They was hurt that they were losing a friend. I was hurt I was losing my friends. But I knew that they weren't going to make the same decision that I was making right then. I knew that I wasn't on the same timeline that they was on, right? So because I knew that we were on different timelines, that meant that I just had to obey and cry, spit, and fart. Cry because I was lonely, cry because my friends out there living a life, but I continued to do what I knew God told me to do. And I was not close to my friends. I lost some of them. And I was not close to some of them. The ones that have just come back around a few years ago, I was not close to them anymore because our lives had changed, right? They were out living how they wanted to live. I had restrictions now. God had reins on me right now. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't do what they was doing. So while they was out there living their life, I was in a crib reading the Bible, trying to pray, trying to stay out of trouble, trying, you know what I'm saying, trying to get my life right, trying to progress. And that was hard for me. And I'm sure that that was hard for them. And so naturally, we started to grow apart, right? We're not spending time together anymore like that. We're not doing anything really. They're going off and getting married. I'm the single friend. I'm not, doing any compromising type stuff. You know what I'm saying? So our lives changed. And I didn't really have Christian friends. And by Christian friend, let me rephrase that. I didn't have friends who were trying to live the way I was trying to live at the time, because we was all doing the same stuff, but until God snatched me up. So when I tried to start walking the narrow way, because y'all know narrow is the way, I didn't have any friends, really. Me and my mother's relationship started to blossom as a result, because, she was, of course, encouraging and all the things. But I was alone for a long time. I had associates, I had acquaintances. I didn't have godly friends. And I used to pray and ask God to give me a community of friends. Yeah, I did. I used to ask God to give me a community of friends. And it was the hardest thing, because he didn't give it to me for a long time, because I don't know why. It could be because I was still kind of impressionable. It could be because he knew that the timeline that I was on, I needed to complete certain things by certain amounts of time, and I could get distracted, whatever. I don't know. But I didn't. I was in isolation for a very, very, very long time. But then the years passed. I continued on. I met people here and there. They weren't friends though. They were acquaintances. They were people I knew. And then he sent me my friends. And I'm grateful for them now, because he sent them in a time where I needed them, when I needed to be sharpened. He sent them in a time where I knew who I was, and he could trust me with friends, and he could trust me with, to be around people and stuff like that. And yeah, so I would say if your friends do fall off, understand that it's okay. Okay? It's okay. But also make room, because some of my friendships did come back around. Some of my friends did start living the right life, the narrow way, doing the narrow way. And we were able to reconnect, and we were able to build a friendship, and rebuild our friendship. Right. And so because I held grace for them in my life and held space for them, and I didn't take it personal. Yeah, in the moment, I think I took it personal when the friendship was breaking up. But as I grew and I matured, I was like, we were just on two different paths. And when my friends decided, like, okay, I'm trying to get my life together, I came to mind, and I'm appreciative of that. And so now we're in the process of rebuilding our friendship on this side of God. You know what I'm saying? And so I would say my advice to the 28-year-old self of mine is have compassion with yourself and with your friends. Give grace where it is necessary, and understand that God will send you the godly community if you ask him. Yes, he's going to send them. If you need them, he's going to send them. He's not withholding anything from you. But also, if you are in that season of isolation, I want to encourage you to endure it, because it was hard. I was in isolation for 5 years, y'all. 5 lonely. Woo! Those years were lonely. Those years were hard. But on the other side of those 5 years, God has brought me the community that will sharpen me, the community that will hold me accountable, the community where I don't have to compromise to hang with them, the community where I don't have to lie about who I really am or hide my goals so that I won't make somebody feel some type of way. You know what I'm saying? So he will bring you those people that are for the future. I call them my future friends. These are my friends for the future. These are my friends that are going to help me, and we're going to encourage each other and walk together in the now so that we all can get to the future. Because I am just as invested in their life and their destiny as they are invested in my life and in my destiny. And I needed that. I needed that on this side of God. But I had to know what it was like to not have friends, to know how to appreciate the ones that God has given me, and also how to nurture and be open to nurturing the relationships that he has brought back around. Crystal says, obeying God would never lead you wrong. I can say as a woman, past 28, God will give you a community designed just for you when you need it. Yeah. The only issue with that is it ain't when we want it. He'll give it to us when we need it 1000%, but it's just not when we want it. And that's the hard thing, right? That is the irritating thing. Slaya says, yep, you're in my journal. Thank you for this perspective. You are welcome. I can only speak from it because I've gone through it. I know how that feels. I know what that isolation feels like. And I know what it feels like to lose friends. I do. So that is not lost upon me. Well, y'all, I did this live to remind you all that this Thursday, I and my friend Jasmine we are doing a live on the courage to outgrow. The courage to outgrow. And I know that we think about prosperity and we like, yeah, I want to prosper. I want to do all the things. And it's great. You should want to do all those things, but you have to be courageous to do all those things. You're going to have to let go of a lot of stuff to become who God created you to be. You're going to have to sacrifice a lot of stuff. You're going to have to sacrifice your perspective of yourself, of who you knew you were, to lay hold of who God created you to be. And it takes a lot of courage. It's not easy. And the reason why I want to have this discussion is to have a real conversation about it. I know I get on here and I encourage folks and I teach folks, but it's not easy. It's not easy. But I want y'all to know that you can do it because you see me do it, and I'm not this special person. You can do hard things, but you're going to have to stick to it. And you're going to have to decide to do it. I was talking to someone the other day, and we were having a very emotional conversation. And we're talking about emotions. And this person said, well, when I think about you, and I'm like, if Brianna can go and get a PhD and, become a doctor, then why can't I? And I said, because you didn't want to suffer 10 years to do it. I suffered 10 years. I lived a delayed gratification life for 10 years post high school to get 3 degrees. I gave up a lot of stuff. That wasn't your journey, but you also didn't want to give up 10 years to invest in that education, right? And so when I talk about that, I'm like, it was hard. I had to find courage every day to keep going. I had to find courage to stay in school 10 years after high school. That's hard work. Everybody I knew was out there getting money, partying, making money. And I'm living. Y'all want to know how much I got paid? I got paid. I had a stipend. As a graduate student, we had to teach 2 classes. We took classes. I was also an athletic tutor. So if y'all watching the Super Bowl, y'all know I went to the University of Alabama. I tutored Jalen Hurts when he still had all the locks and stuff. But I tutored a lot of the Alabama football team who went out and went into the league, right? Anyway, big shout out to Jalen for making it to the Super Bowl. But I tutored. So me tutoring, me teaching 2 classes, y'all know I only brought home $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month. No, it wasn't 2. It was $1,500. $1,500 a month. That's what I had to live on. Can somebody do the math on how much that was a year? Oh, and let me tell y'all that they cut our funding in the summer. So my funding cut off at the end of every April and then start back until the end of August. So I was making that small amount of money for that long of a time. I was up there eating. I was struggling. And I had to suffer through that. And now that I'm on the other side of that, I'm not making that salary no more. Right? But I had to suffer through making no money. Zero. None. Barely above the scratch line. And I tell people, like, you didn't want to go through that. Just like I may not want to go through whatever it may take for people to become medical doctors, or I may not want to go through what it takes an artist to become an artist, or whatever profession you decide. They don't want to do it. So you have to decide that you're going to finish the journey. And so when this person was saying, like, why couldn't I do it? I'm like, you didn't want to sacrifice 10 years. And I'm not encouraging you to do that. But that's why. So anyway, it took a lot of courage. There weren't any doctors in my family. No one. I'm a first generation graduate. I didn't have a model. That took a lot of courage for me to outgrow. It took a lot of courage for me to leave Chicago, number one. Because up until that point, no one had left in my immediate family. I was the first one to go away to school. So that took a lot of courage to break that out of that glass ceiling. Then it took a lot more courage for me to get a 4-year degree. Then it took a lot more courage for me to get, a master's. And as I'm succeeding, I'm outgrowing. I'm outgrowing certain family structures. I'm outgrowing certain mindsets. I'm outgrowing certain people. So yeah, I'm going up, but I'm also going out. That's hard. That's very hard. I think that's where a lot of us struggle. And so I wanted to have this discussion with my friend Jasmine this Thursday at 5 p.m. We will be on live. We will be talking about the courage to outgrow, because I never want you to, feel like you're alone, that you're the only person who may be experiencing this thing, and you may not have the tools, but I want us to talk about it and talk about how we got through, so you may find some encouragement to continue on in your journey, because I don't want you to stay stuck this year. Up until 2030, we don't know what's going on in the world. This is no time to be playing around with your life. None. So Jasmine and I, we will be doing a live at 5 p.m. this Thursday. I hope you'll join us. 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that is. But yeah, so y'all got any questions before I hop off of here? If there's no questions, if you haven't liked the video, please like the video for me, so I don't have to keep fighting so that the algorithm won't keep suppressing my page, because I don't like that at all. And thank y'all for rocking with me for this hour and a half. Golly, I said I was only gonna be on here 30 minutes, and I always end up on here for so much longer. So thank you all for rocking with me, for lending me your Tuesday evening. I have a speaking engagement in 2 hours. Yeah, in 2 hours that I need to review my notes for. So I'm about to hop off of here. I hope to see y'all on Thursday, and stay safe. Bye, y'all.